Welcome to Live Reality Games Podcast. We are here to talk about everything that is about reality TV shows. Please remember to subscribe, follow, and like our Facebook page, YouTube channel, and Twitter account. So, once again, today we are talking about The Amazing Race Season 33, Episode 3, the last episode before the pandemic halted the production. Once again, my name is Bill. I'm from The Amazing Hunt. I'm the executive producer of Vancouver's local Amazing Race. And joining me today, once again, is Connor, an avid reality TV game player. How are you today?
I'm doing really well. How you doing, Bill? How you hanging in there?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. A lot of things happening in episode 3, so we have quite a few things to talk about. But like what I set out to do is, I'm always going to be a little bit more critical on the decision making side, on the production side, and Connor will be basically talking about from the viewer side and doing the recap. So our podcast is about question, assumption, and recap, not rather in question and answers. Okay, so first of all, we know the teams. Basically, last episode was episode 2, and then there's non-elimination. So everybody was basically hop onto the train, going from London, England to Gas, Gas, Glasgow, Scotland. That
Yep.
is. So, what do you think about the non-elimination in episode 2?
I like the fact that instead of a non-elim, it was more of a keep racing. I know those things are basically the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
but I like the fact that with the keep racing aspect, it's very much more taxing on a team. Non-elimination, you still get a rest area, you still got to stop and breathe. Keep racing, you just hit a leg and now it's time to do another. And I also like the fact that when they were the suspense was good, because usually in the past it'll be like the first team arrives and it's keep racing, and
Mm-hmm.
the last team, they're probably not getting eliminated, they're probably gonna have to keep racing, right? This
Mm-hmm.
time they didn't even show you like
Mm-hmm.
people were keep racing, and you're thinking, oh, the twins are gone, the twins are gone, and
Mm-hmm.
then they show again at the end, like, oh yeah, and the first team to arrive is now going to the next place, and you're like, oh wow, I like the fact that it left us, surprised. It didn't give it away. You know what I mean? So I thought, I'm fine with it.
Great. Yeah. So then, of course, after the train ride, and we get to Scott. I need to learn how to pronounce the city name, Glasgow.
Yep.
Yeah, Glasgow. Then racers, of course, once again need to jump into a stick shift vehicle and driving themselves to the next destination. So here is my sort of 2 cents on things. For people who have watched The Amazing Race, last episode, we know Phil says something at the end of it, which we're gonna say something first. But for anything, anybody would do reality TV games or reality TV shows, always about the safety of the contestants and the staff. We've seen in the past 33 seasons, probably not all of them, but The Amazing Race like to put teams in stick shift vehicles. And clearly, we see in this episode that stick shift at this day of the age. I think I'm not a traveler here, but I would assume that some countries are still majority of people are still driving stick shift. But did the production team really have to put teams in there just for the sake of a drama? Is it really? Is because technically, based on watching the footage, the episode, it is not really a safe measure for teams to actually driving something, which they can block the traffic, may cause accidents, and you can see Ray was almost having a nervous breakdown, and you will see Carol in the back apparently is keep hiding her face and don't want to see it. So why would that be a safe choice for production to do so? Which I kind of wonder.
Especially like under the circumstances, because as I was watching, this is the first time I've ever seen a team member admit they don't have a license. I think it was Caro on,
Yeah, Carrie. Yeah,
and
from
then
Love
she,
Island. Yeah.
Love Island, and she was like, he has to drive because I don't have a license, and I was like, what? This is like the first time
Hmm.
I've ever seen that, which puts Ray in a situation where, he should have learned stick. If he knows he's the only one driving on that team and he has to do all the driving, he should have prepared, learned stick, learned everything. And the fact that he didn't really shows how committed, or should I say, how kind of not committed they are to like the race.
And this is a thing which I have tried to study a little bit about Carol and Ray. In the past, when we know that CBS putting one couple from one reality TV show to another, in this case, Love Island to Amazing Race, they were having a very minimal time because they were kind of picked, right? They are not need to audition or they don't have a lot of time to prepare. Not too sure what the gap between the production end of the Love Island to the Amazing Race. I heard it's a very minimal gap. So Ray actually did take his time, apparently 2 weeks, to learn how to drive a stick shift, and I think he tried his best. But in reality, is that it's just like any driver out there. When we try to learn how to drive a vehicle, it's always safer in a more controlled environment. But when you put in people into the reality where it's like, well, you are driving with a whole bunch of people, especially I think it is I think it's a very high traffic time and in Gal. Okay, I'm just not going to say that city name ever again. But you know, it's put a lot of pressure with the racer, and also it's not unsafe for the staff too. And knowing that from the next episode on, because teams are not able to go into taxi because of the COVID situation, they are going to drive even more so in the upcoming episodes. I just wonder, would Amazing Race ever stop relying on the fact that stick shift is drama and also, but also could put teams in danger?
I think it's also a double-edged sword because it definitely puts the teams that don't know how to drive stick shift in danger. On the other hand, if you know anything about the Amazing Race, you should do your best to learn stick shift. So it's almost like production, is definitely putting teams in danger a little bit, but at the same time, it's also like if you're going on the Amazing Race, your responsibility to learn certain things, and that's something you should learn.
Yeah.
And I think I also think it's production's way of like almost punishing the teams. Like you didn't prepare for this once in like triple on a lifetime. You didn't prepare for this awesome opportunity where we got for you. Well, you're gonna learn, and you're gonna like really regret not learning stick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but in the end of it could cause traffic accident, and that's what I was really cringing watching it. So when I go back to what Phil said at the end of the episode before we reveal everything, is that the safety of the teams and the staff are very important. In this case, I kind of think that, well, I know Phil is trying to make things better at the end of the episode, but this just more like more like a, if I maybe be frank, a BS to what their choice are. It's already 33 seasons in, and we're still relying on stick shifting, bringing the drama. We can technically get away from that from this point on.
Yeah, and we've had teams before like wreck and hit another car. So
Yeah,
Amazing Race has dealt with that before, but it still seems counterintuitive, like you're saying, the fact that at the end of the episode, Phil's saying our number one priority is safety.
yeah,
But then at the beginning of the episode, it seems like, well, is he just saying that due to the circumstances? Because it seems like he's putting people in danger. Not he's not the controller. Let's be real, but
yeah.
the
No.
producers are kind of putting them in danger a little bit. But I still, as much as it's the producers like wanting drama and whatnot, I feel like it's still the team's responsibility to learn stick. So I
Okay.
think it depends. But like, I definitely see what you're saying though, because it does seem counterintuitive a little bit.
So am I more of a sort of a softer person that you're just like, you're not owning stick, it's your responsibility. So let's jump to basically the first the roadblock of this episode, which I really liked it a lot. So there were the teams have to put backpipe together and then have to basically plate the backpipe, right? So as in cast in Scotland, and that's really fitting. Um, Basically, personally, like I love the challenge itself. It looks very simple enough, but it's actually not, because especially for someone like me who I really have problem with putting IKEA furniture together.
Yeah, I would. I was watching this with my mom.
Hmm.
Me and my mom watched it together, and we would be the worst team Amazing Race has ever seen. We would be awful. We wouldn't even like make it past the starting line. We would trip, fall, and be like, "We're done." Like me and my mom would be awful, and we always go through like, which one would we pick? Who would do this? And we both were like, "There ain't no way. I can't even put a Lego set together." I don't
Oh,
even have Legos. I don't. There's no way I could have done that. I'd be doing there right now, just like over it, playing the bagpipe piece without any of the like bag or anything. I'd be over it. So, I did like. I thought one thing I will criticize a little bit about the task is like, was it extremely important to have them play the bagpipe after? They're not getting judged on playing the bagpipe. I guess, to see if it worked, but you have to judge when they're assembling the bagpipe to see if they're assembling it correctly. Also, I want to point out that when they're playing the bagpipe in front of a crowd,
mm-hmm.
the judge, whatever reason why he's there, it doesn't seem important that he's there because they already built it correctly. They should have their clue by now. Is
Mm-hmm.
just 2 inches away, just
Mm-hmm.
staring at them like, play that bagpipe right now. Play it right. Better play it right. And I'm like, why are you there? Why are you staring so intensely? What is this? It made me so uncomfortable. It's like it was so weird the fact that he was so intent and he's not even judging anything important and he's not even a judge. He's just standing there staring at teams playing a bagpipe so
Mm-hmm.
intently.
And I thought will be the hard one to critique the episode. So now after this short conversation, we learned about a few things about Connor. To bring him to Legoland wherever you have a chance.
Yeah.
Second, do not stare at him because he feels judged by anything. So no. But in the end of it, I think this is just a TV magic where in the end, like they want somebody to be there, tell the teams to do certain things and to make sure that it works. And that just for the footage's sake, right? It's like you said, logistically, it doesn't really need anything to be done. They can judge at the moment when they're assembling the bagpipe, right? But just for TV sake of it, they need them to play it, and that's how it works.
Mhm.
Same thing with sometimes I have the teams to do certain things. People be like, "Why are you asking them to do it?" Well, it is just to have a footage to show that it works, right? We like people who have bagpipe or people in the back of it, like they say, the judge may not even be a judge, but maybe he's the person just to play the instrument, knows how things work, right? So sometimes there's always things about production, why they made the things they do, and also the viewer side of it. Which when I was chatting with a lot of people about the episodes, whether it's this season or previous season, there's always a difference between viewers take and the production teams take. Because I have managed to put a lot of races in the past, so my thought process is no longer just the viewer side of it. Kind of ruins the episode sometimes, but
Mhm. But it's interesting we have the different perspective because all I am is a viewer and sometimes a player. That's
yeah,
all I am, right? And
yeah.
you have the perspective of being a production standpoint, which is why this works because you have a
Mhm.
perspective, I have a perspective, and they're just very different. And we're analyzing different aspects of this. We're not just analyzing one aspect like a viewer aspect. We're not just analyzing the production aspect. We're analyzing both aspects. So,
Yes.
you know,
Then right after a roadblock, then of course we go into a detour. So what I found that this so far at this season, up to episode 3, the challenges are very straightforward. There's no complication regarding to everything. So I like it. And however, I find there's a formula they're sticking with in this season. It's like in any detour, it's like I have a certain skill versus I have no skill. So in episode 1, they're choosing between, and there's a navigation which you have to find little band, big band, and also digiband. And also the other one will be basically putting a puzzle together, right? So basically, I would categorize the first detour be like I can navigate versus I cannot navigate. And the second episode is about the darts versus the what's the other one?
it was
Oh,
the darts versus the cake
okay.
decoration.
So then basically I would say that the second episode will be I can shoot darts versus I cannot shoot darts.
Mm-hmm.
The third episode where the teams went to they'd have to choose between I think assemble a whiskey barrel and also learn a song and dance from a uh what was it again? Let me see.
It
Are
was just
there
yeah. It
there
just was a like a Scottish song and dance, pretty much.
yeah. And I know native Scottish people really appreciate that they actually showcase the culture, this side of Scotland. So it becomes my take on it would be I can use brutal force versus I cannot use brutal force.
Yeah.
So when you see Arun and Natalia basically switch detour, because they don't think they can actually have the strength to master it, and they basically change the detour to the other one. Where also, unfortunately, uh, Arun also have a little bit trouble memorizing the steps and everything.
Hmm. I you know I will say like I think the barrel one. I'll go on the record to say I think any team that went to the barrel one could do it. I don't think it didn't look impossible. I just think it would be harder for teams than others. And I think some teams, as we've seen throughout the series, are very prone to trying something
Hmm.
and not getting it immediately, and immediately going to, well, let's change detours. And it's not as simple as changing detours. It's,
Hmm.
let me go back in the car, find the place. Like
Hmm.
I feel like you can't give on something so easily. If it's not coming to you immediately, you will learn it. You can do it. I've seen physical tasks on the Amazing
Hmm.
Race that seem far more intense, difficult, dangerous than this one. So
Hmm.
for me, just personally, like I just felt like, you know, it's going to require some brute strength, but I feel like every team they casted this season has the capability to do that challenge.
Of
Easier said
course,
than
yes.
done from a viewer's perspective,
Hmm.
probably.
Hmm.
But I still feel like you can't give up on something so easily. I think that's a common mistake we see.
True. So then, like you said, there's I think between all the detours right now we're seeing so far, there is always a easier, faster choice versus a more well, actually, no. Is there's a more difficult and faster choice versus the easier but longer choice. They make it abundantly clear if you choose one or the other. Like if you choose the dart shooting, if you choose the barrel making, if you choose the navigating, you always have advantage to basically jump ahead of other teams. There's always a clear choice in the season 33 detours so far.
Mhm. And Amazing Race has done this since the dawn of time. I remember like season two, season one, or season two, season three. There was a challenge, and it was very simple. It was like it was like a long way down, or it was like basically it was you could either walk down a mountain or walk down a hill, and it'll take you a lot of time, but it's really easy to do it, but it's gonna take a long time. Or you can like rappel down it, which is
Mhm.
gonna take you not long, but it's gonna be a little bit more physical. And the
Mm.
rappel takes
Your audio cut out a little bit. So while you were fixing that, let me just actually continue to put whatever you were saying earlier was right. And then I was actually after watching season 33 episode 3 afterwards, then I basically went back to as went back to watch season 4. So what I was thinking is that a lot of people right now were let's see if Connor can get back. If Connor can't, we will try to fix some technical issue. So, when I was watching season 4 yesterday, whereas a lot of the tasks, just like what Connor was saying earlier, is that one option is definitely more difficult and faster. However, when I watch back to season 4 in particular, where I know a lot of viewers were complaining about the challenge being too easy on the teams, especially the mail searching challenge in episode 2 when they have to go down the rail mail and the clue is just lying in the bottom of the container. We kind of forgot that in the past seasons, especially in the earlier seasons, there were challenges that are extremely easy where it doesn't actually uh, do anything to basically challenge the teams. So Connor is trying to get back to it, and Connor is back. So I think he's back. Is he back? Yes, he's back. But he needs to unmute himself first. Is the sound the sound working or not working?
we're here.
Okay,
Technical
we
difficulties,
are
but I'm
back
getting there.
with Connor. Yes, so I was talking about I was watching season 4 yesterday. So a lot of the challenges in the past season, which I think for viewers, because we're watching so many seasons, we always expect the production team to basically put out more and more difficult challenges. Well, it's going dark again. I think we'll see. There are just a lot of interruptions today. We'll see how that goes. Oh, he's back one more time. So let me get back to what I was just saying, so I can catch Connor up a little bit. So as a viewers, we need to stop actually. Oh, Connor is gone again. Okay. As the viewers, we need to actually stop pushing the challenge to be more and more difficult. But we need to kind of focus on the fact that a challenge can be very challenging, as in it kind of makes teams think, or for the viewer to think, rather than just doing the repetitive method, carrying hundred of bricks, doing the same thing over and over and over again. So then the most important part is the amazing race in the end of it, rather than just a reality TV show about have teams doing a challenge. It's also a traveling show. So having the teams to do a assembling bagpipe, and also doing the song and dance of a Scottish with a Scottish music and dance move. It's actually showcase the culture of the location. So we shouldn't just focus on the fact that the challenge should be difficult and more complex. Sometimes simple is the best.
Hmm. Agreed. And I think the perfect challenge that you want is, like you're saying, a challenge that's going to showcase the area. That's why you have a lot of challenges, not challenges, but you have a lot of legs that involve a lot of on foot running or like on
Hmm.
foot travel,
Hmm.
because they want to show the area that they're around, especially if it's a beautiful area, and they want to like show the area the best way they can. If they're just jumping from task to task to task, and they don't show the traveling aspect of like how they get there and the running aspect, then the areas is just not going to be important. It's just going to be the task. And this is an
Hmm.
amazing race, and what makes it amazing is the traveling aspect. You
Hmm.
have to have that. If you don't have that, and it's just a task show, it's like this, then this, then this. You're losing the feel for it. People want to watch for the scenery. That's a big reason why people watch. They want to look at their screen and go, "That's amazing. I wish I was there right now." You
Hmm.
know. So that's the appeal. That's what makes the Amazing Race been on for 33 seasons.
True, but also it's just similar things when you said that. I was actually looking at editing where when the team's actually driving to, I think it was a church, or apparently looking at the information page, I was thinking it's actually something called a guest house. Oh, actually, no, it's a. I'm not too sure what it is. It's a building where actually they went in to do the bagpipe, right? So you see very short moment of every team having trouble to driving a stick shift, and Kim and Pam from the Holders family just very successfully driving to the location without actually need to navigate, right? So and then a lot of people were questioning how were they able to just basically go from getting off the train, get onto the car, driving there so instantly. Sometimes we have to realize the show itself is only 42 minutes, right? There's a lot of things they can't show. So apparently, according to Wikipedia page, that there was an air location which they didn't show. So that kind of explained that why some teams having trouble to drive it to the bagpipe roadblock, and then it just seemed very abrupt. But the editing itself, it doesn't actually handle it well because it just basically showed the fighting, the arguing, the what was it? The meltdown of teams not be able to drive stick shift. So it doesn't really show the traveling aspect of any sort. And, and if you watch the older season, like the probably I would say prior to season um, seven, that before the family edition. So everything they're more focused on showing the scenery of it. I think it start kind of dwindling down of the traveling aspect, but what increase on the dramatic aspect of the race since family edition.
Mm. And I think there's the right move is to get a balance, right? And I
Mhm.
mean, the earlier seasons had the balance.
Mhm.
And I think the problem that I'm going to agree with you here is that we want to know why a team is falling behind. We want to know why are they not there yet, especially if a team you're rooting for. You don't want to just be wondering like, oh well, where are they? You don't want to assume, oh, they must have got lost. You want to see what happened. Why are they not there yet? Especially when you have
Mhm.
no explanation. Them fighting and bickering is not answering that question. It's showing
Mhm.
drama, fine. It's showing giving us entertainment, fine. But it's not answering the question we're all looking for. It's not answering, did they get lost? are they just like, do their car die? Like, I don't know
Mhm.
whatever it is. And we want that question answered because we want to know. It's just important. It's very important.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Yep. So then, talking about a little bit sideline with the Survivor 41, which just finished about a few weeks ago, a lot of viewers were kind of saying that there's a lot of things won't be able to show on TV, and then create a lot of online conversation about who has a better strategy and why a part of it is not showing. So why don't we start the petition of CBS should actually extend their reality TV show to a 90-minute time slot rather than just a 60-minute time slot. We hope we can start a petition of that, right? At some point,
yeah.
make it longer so at least we can enjoy it. And because of the pandemic, I think it's a good idea because we won't be able to get a lot of scripted show to be produced because a lot of we hear movies, TV shows, actor, actress, and everybody who's in the industry having problem being staying safe or away or staying safe or not being affected by COVID. So reality TV show it's a good time to basically extend their airtime during this difficult time so we can see more of it rather than we don't know what's going on with what the racers are going through, what the castaway are doing when they were on the in Fiji, right? So longer showing time, please CBS. Hopefully you can hear us. Um, then we go to, of course, and after the detour, I just really go to the pit stop, and the pit stop is beautiful. However, we all know that the sort of what was it called? The bad news were coming, where you get to see all teams were checked in. One team unfortunately got eliminated, but in the next morning, February, according to the show, February 28th, 2020, and Phil gathered a whole bunch of teams at the interior area with a whole bunch of camera operators, and Phil made an announcement that we have to hold the production due to I cannot even say the word right now.
It's not the
Corona?
Connor virus. Let me be clear. It's not the Connor virus. Let's not put that out there, Bill.
Yeah. So the COVID is actually very easy to say. I think that's why everybody's saying that right now,
Yeah.
rather than coronavirus. So, What's your thought on the delivery? How they handle the well, not really how they handle it, how they show it on TV, saying that this is how the Amazing Race deal with it.
I think they did the best they could. I
Mhm.
mean, they're not going to get the shock factor. And I say that because it really did seem like everyone was aware
Mhm.
that this kind of COVID thing was existing a little bit. It's not like they never knew or didn't know. They kind of were aware of something, you know, and you didn't get that shock factor. You didn't get the TV moment of like, what? Really? Why? Why?
Mhm.
Wait, what happened? Really? Because they already knew. So that takes away from it a little bit. But they can't control that. And I'd rather give an honest reaction and be like,
Mhm.
"Oh yeah, we figured we knew," than them making the teams be like, act surprised,
Mhm.
act surprised," because you can tell when someone's acting. You can tell when it's over dramatic, and I'd rather it be an honest reaction, even if it's a bit more anticlimactic. I
Mhm.
think they did the best they could with it.
Is that the reason why you won the reality TV game that you participated? Because you can tell if people are acting or not.
Well,
Well,
I'm not the best at winning. We'll say that, but who knows?
who knows? But you do see that it was a very shocking. From I think some teams saying that it's interesting to see they've actually announced it like that and then make a final decision on not to actually continue racing. The one thing that I actually have issue with is based on the how they presented on TV. We know that the conversation about the COVID and halting the production when Phil announced it to the teams, it's probably longer than I would say 2 3 minutes they were showing. And a lot of times when you were hearing, it's only Phil's voice. You don't really see what he was saying. Like, you don't see his mouth moving. So a lot of word choices, and when I listen to it, it's actually more like they try to condense the situation a bit like a bit more so, then probably Phil was doing sort of voiceover after the production was done, so that maybe 10-20 minute conversation can kind of shorten it to maybe 2-3 minutes. But personally, as a viewer, I would like to hear the whole extent of explanation and how Phil delivered this news to the teams, rather than just that 2-3 minutes of it.
Mhm. But I think also, like, this, they production probably knew this might have to happen, but still they probably didn't have enough time to really like say this is how it needs to be said. It needs to be said like this. They didn't have a whole lot of time to like probably prepare how they wanted to approach it. They just kind of had to be like,
True.
okay.
Yeah.
And I think that whole thing of like, the voiceover or the in person telling, I think it all comes down to one thing. How
Hmm.
much faith do they have in the moment with their host of any show, with the host to deliver it the way it needs to be delivered, right? And
Do
Phil
you,
is a great host.
yeah. Did you
But
see that they actually kept each like at least 12 feet apart from each other? No, I'm just joking. But
yeah,
I
yeah,
think they
yeah.
are aware of the distance keeping at that moment right now. But the teams are not keeping it apart. They're still staying very close to each other. But that was
Mhm.
just a bad joke from me. So
Yeah. But I think it's very telling, I think it's very telling that, they had a voiceover and after instead of it just being strictly, Phil telling in the moment, because it says a lot about, you know, Phil's a great host. I'll say I love Phil as a host. But
mhm.
maybe the whole aspect, I don't think he's ever been the strongest at like telling a story, to like talking to teams and like, you know, telling a story. When he has a script in front of him, he's great. But when a team checks in and he has to talk with them, there's no script. He just kind of has to wing it. And he's never been the best at winging it. And I think you can really just show here that the fact they have to voice over him after
Mhm.
the fact with a script shows that he's great at reading a script, but he's not the best at winging it. But I still think he did a good job.
I'm trying not to. I'm trying not to say something. So in 2 episodes of podcast, in every episode, you try to diss Phil one way or the other, and I'm saying I'm the critical one, which I think you're the more critical one on him than me does. But
I love Phil though.
I'm more critical on the decision. But either way, then we have, of course, a word on the screen says a 19-month later. Then we see teams running into the another location. At first, I thought because it looks so similar, I thought they were still in Scotland. But then when I actually looked back to the episode, they're actually in Switzerland. They're not in Scotland anymore. So they actually flew to another country with, surprise, surprise, only 5 team went in. And then Phil did a very simple delivery, which I think maybe just a shorter version will actually going to went on when we start seeing episode 4, and maybe they will actually probably redo this again in a longer sort of version of it, just like when they ever start the race in episode 1, right? So then we see only 5 teams came in, unlike the press announcement where the Amazing Race is saying that 7 teams came back. Then we sort of realized that where's the other 2 teams that were supposed to come back until Phil said we will see some familiar faces. At this point in time, where viewers, I think we all know who's coming back. So, what are your thoughts on that? You know who's coming back?
I feel like it's a very safe assumption of who's coming back. The fact that it's 2 teams, the fact that
Hmm.
they're familiar faces to the contestants, you can only assume that the 2 eliminated teams are coming back. It's the only safe assumption, I feel like. And I'll say that, these first 3 episodes have been fantastic. And if you
Hmm.
haven't watched them yet, you don't need to. Just tune in now to the final 7 and just watch from there, because at this point it's a whole new thing. It's a level playing field. The first 3 episodes don't matter to the whole thing anymore. If I guess if you want to get to know the teams, they do, and I guess if you want to watch the whole thing, they do. But really, the race has now starting here. This is where we're starting. This is where we didn't start back then. Now we're starting here. 7 teams. This is where you should continue watching till the end, because I understand they're doing the best they can, and they cannot have everyone back. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not going to be possible, and I don't blame production. I
Hmm.
just think it's with the situation of COVID.
Hmm.
This is what you're going to get, and we can't be mad at it.
Hmm.
So I get it 100%, but it's just like the first 3 episodes were great, but how important are they now?
But I think based on what you just said, I think probably a lot of viewers are feeling the same way as you do. But I think as a for television network for CBS, they probably were actually contemplating the decision on how to present this season because technically the first three season really doesn't mean much in a race standpoint of it, but it is sort of a historical point for the Amazing Race and for any reality TV show out there, especially the one that travels around the world. Where it's like, I think no matter what it is in the racing aspect, competition aspect of it, yes, the first three episodes doesn't mean anything, especially when you are out there to win $1 million. But in a TV aspect of it, where it's like it's a good story to be told in a sense of we did this before the pandemic, now we're coming back to it after the pandemic, right? So I think it was just a storytelling sense, and we kind of notice, or I notice, I think a lot of people who actually watch a lot of real TV shows, especially from CBS, would notice too that they schedule Survivor 42 on March the 9th, which right now is only January 13. We only aired 3 episodes in. So I don't think this season of Amazing Race will have the full 12 or 13 episodes like before. It may be shortened a little bit. How short, we don't know, but minimum, I think there might be about 10 episodes. And how can they sort of extend the 10 episodes a total of 10 episodes, or 7 episodes more, how can they actually have 7 teams to compete in these 7 episodes, whether they're going to have mega leg, to be continued leg, or just like you said earlier, when they do the smart creative non-elimination leg, where they just basically say you're going to continue to ride another train or another bus. we was I'm eager to see how they continue the race without eliminating teams when they have to be.
Mhm. And I also want to speak now. We've spoken on like the viewer aspect, the production aspect. I want to speak a little bit on the player aspect here. I'm
Mhm,
putting myself in the mind of a contestant that filmed the first three legs,
mhm,
and then for whatever reason could not come back, and whatever reason it is, could not come back to the show after COVID. And if I'm that contestant and I'm thinking to myself, do I want them to just not even show me on the show,
mhm,
just continue from leg four? Because I'm
mhm,
thinking about it in the aspect of, now that for whatever reason I'm not back on the show, you got the fans who are going to be wondering, why are they not back? You're going to have
mhm.
so many conspiracy theories of like, did they break up? Let me dig into their personal life. You know what I mean? Like, why are they not back? What
When
happened?
you
What happened?
said that, I think you just did. You actually did dig into their personal life.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I don't want people. I don't want people to get in their personal life, because
No,
now
of
I feel
course,
like
of course.
I feel like
Yeah.
now people are gonna be wondering, why didn't they come back, and they're gonna do some digging, and I don't feel like that anyone should be put in a situation where people are gonna be digging on them. And I think it's as to be expected that the fans are gonna want to know exactly why did they not come back,
Mhm.
but no one should be put in a situation where people are gonna be digging up on them and try and do research on them in a way to like get in their personal business. That shouldn't be happening. And I'm just, if I'm a contestant that didn't come back, I'm probably
Mhm.
just thinking to myself, let me just save the hassle of that and just don't even show me on the show.
Okay. So this is actually I have a short conversation with somebody in about a few weeks ago regarding to what my perspective when I look at reality TV games. I've talked to a few people in the Amazing Race Canada, which they and I have talked to them about the non-disclosure agreement they have to sign or anything they have to sign. We all like for as a super fan of the Amazing Race, we all probably read through the contractual agreement about the Amazing Race if you want to apply, right? So going onto the show, if you are not winning, you are actually giving up a lot, including your image, your rights, and a lot of people who actually were on the show. I think I'm not saying that every season, but if you are signed with the agent, you are actually it's like agent talking to agent. So Amazing Race side of agent talking to the representative of yourself. But if you are just what a lot of people say normal people, you basically have no agent and you just want to be on a reality TV show, you essentially will be giving out more than you probably bargained for. The only way to compensate that is by winning the show. if you don't win the show, is you're actually giving up a lot in your about your personal life, especially.
100%, and that might be a big reason why we're importing a lot of people from the public eye, people with
Mhm.
a claim to fame, or why we're importing people from other shows,
Yeah.
reality shows, because now we're living in a world where it's easier for everyone to just get someone we all know.
Hmm.
And I get that from a production aspect. From a viewer
Hmm.
aspect, I still want a season with new people and just real people. But
Hmm.
I get what they're trying to do, and it's like a tightrope. They have to balance everything, and I think it's hard on them.
Hmm.
But it is also like I think back in the day it was easier to get contestants to do that because I think it also the aspect of in 2000 and 2002 a show giving away a large amount of money was not as common. You had Survivor doing it, but what else was really doing it besides maybe Big Brother at the time? You didn't have a lot of shows giving away that much money. So that money meant so much to people.
Hmm.
But now it's normalized that so many TV shows are giving away so much money
Hmm.
that you see it so often. It's almost not as special, and then people almost don't want to give their life away for something that seems too normalized. I think that's an aspect as well.
So Connor was hinting that CBS should actually pull in more money for the prize. Like for example, 1.5 million for Survivor winner and 1.5 million for the Amazing Race winner. Well, we'll see. Because I know Big Brother already increased their winning price from 500,000 to 750,000. Maybe, hopefully, in the future, other reality TV show will catch up a little bit more because of the reality of the inflation, right? And the other thing we'll come back to talk about is when you say 2000, 2002. I always joke about this to a lot of people. When The Amazing Race started at 2001, The Amazing Hunt, which is the Vancouver version, started in 2004. Both of these years, when you look back into it, iPhone was not even invented yet. So when smartphone was not invented, when social media is not such a big boom about it, and then it's sort of like when you get into a reality TV show, it's just like you only appear on TV, and then you're back to your personal life. Where nowadays you not only have to worry about TV, the TV you also have to worry about the social media you. Then you also have the personal life you. So it's way more complicated being in a reality TV show you say now than compared to even 10, 15 years ago.
That's a very good point, and that is hitting the nail on the coffin. That's exactly what it is as well. That's a great point, and that's accurate as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think a lot of people like to be on the show. Unfortunately, some of them are not able to come back. And I have just one personal thing to say. Remember when we do the draft pick in the beginning? Uh, three of my draft pick, two are not coming back. So I'm only down to one team now. So what am I supposed to do? Come on, Kim and Penny, you can at least last to the finale of the show. At least I will be keep watching you guys, hopefully running all the way to the finish line. Doesn't matter it's first, second, or third. At least one of my picks should make to the end of the season of the Amazing Race 33, right?
And what I will say is, Team Connor, we started out rough. We started out real rough.
Uh-huh.
My two of my teams were the last two, and one was a keep race, and the other was eliminated. And now all my teams are back together.
Yeah,
So
see?
we had a rough ride, but we're here. Out of 7 teams, I have 3 of them. You know
Mhm.
what? I was really feeling down in the beginning, but
Yeah.
I'm lifted back up. Maybe I have a shot at this draft, so I'm not
See?
complaining. So,
Yeah. So then, as a draft picker, you're not complaining it, but as a player, you'd be like, That's not fair to me if I were the player of the Amazing Race, right?" So one of the racers. Okay, so I think this is pretty much it for today. And then with 7 teams left, well, which we'll see most likely all the racers will be back except the one that cannot return, even including the eliminated teams. We will have most likely another 7 episodes to go, and then we'll see how Amazing Race will be able to continue the season, and then and then how they're using their creative minds to be able to stretch it out as far as they can without eliminating too soon, too fast.
can I touch on one more thing before we end this?
Sure, of course, yeah.
So I think what Phil, when he was talking about the situation of COVID, and said one interesting thing that is completely true. He
Mm-hmm.
said that the contestants have an opportunity that no other contestants on any reality show have ever gotten before.
Mm-hmm.
The opportunity to learn what the race is like, go back home, and train, and come back stronger than ever. And I guarantee you, the winner of this season is going to be the
Mm-hmm.
team that went back home, trained their butt off, prepared physically, mentally, and everything for what they now know what they're getting in for.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever did that the best, whoever did that the most, is going to be a winner of the season because they put in the work. And I think that's such an interesting thing to think about. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's what's saving this a little bit is the aspect of now everyone's on an even playing field and everyone had the opportunity to go and train. And those that did, they're going to shine. And those that
Mm-hmm.
didn't, wasted an opportunity of like 18 months. What were you doing in 18 months where you couldn't train to go? You know you're going back. If you're pretty sure you're going back, train. Do
Mm-hmm.
something. And if teams did not take advantage of that, they're fools.
So thank you for Connor for the encouraging word for today. Of course, thank you all of you for tuning in Live Reality Games Community Podcast, where we talk about everything about our favorite reality TV shows, and we are looking forward to do this again next week at the same time on January 20th. And of course, episode 4, the first episode after the pandemic, will air on CBS on January 19th. I'm not going into the time, always having trouble mixing the time, but just make sure you stay tuned on the CBS network and also the Live Reality Game podcast, which you can follow on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good day.